Speedway family is still there. We complain about this great sport, sometimes with justification, but on Sunday at Leicester, we the supporters turned out in big numbers for the Speedway family. A cold day. It was very cold. And oh, by the way, slow down, Brian. Only in Speedway. Welcome to the Speedway Tavern, everybody. Tonight we have Mr. I'll remember your name in a minute, Matt Buck. We have Holly over in the corner over there.
Thank you.
And myself, Michael, or GA, or Hey You, or whatever you want to call me, really.
We do call you plenty of things.
Yeah. Oh yes. First question: did we all like the new theme tune?
You keep asking.
Well, I quite enjoyed it. I think I did a good job there.
Yeah. It's all right, I suppose.
Well, it's the old theme tune, but different. I guess the first thing I should say, because you told me off about this, I'm sorry, Holly. Share the stream, guys. If you share the stream, it's like buying a raffle ticket.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll put your name into our trophy, and we'll pick a name out, and whoever we pick out gets one of our fantastic stylish T-shirts. That's what it says there, anyway.
So if you say it's like buying a raffle, that means you're disappointed with the prize.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yes. Now, we did this last week because I sort of announced it in the last 5 minutes of the show.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't get many shares, so we didn't think that was fair.
No. So we're going to do a double next week.
Going to double up. So we'll share your streams, and next
sharing.
week. That's quite difficult to say. That is.
Keep sharing.
Share your streams, and we will. Pick that winner next week. We notice a few people have already shared the stream.
Yes.
Well done.
One of whom I don't think the T-shirt will fit, will it? But perhaps.
Can't talk about you. It would be like that.
Yeah.
Quick hello on the chat box. Rodney McDonald, Paul PVL Racing, and David Twine. There was some more people, but they've lost them now. Thank you.
You're so careless.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, we should mention, actually, if you want to take part in the show, we would love you to take part in the show. That's what the show's about. Our motto is, by the fans, for the fans. As quickly will become apparent, we're not professional presenters.
It's pretty obvious.
Yes. Join in. They can join in on... Well, let them know. How can they join in?
There's various... you can go on www.srbradio.com. You'll find us on there. You'll also find us on all good Facebook pages and groups, Speedway.
Okay, are there?
And if we're not on them,
we don't deal with rubbish on the show.
and if we're not on them, feel free to share them on those pages and groups that we've missed. Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to say a big thank you to all the people on the BSF that have and on the Brummies website as well that have given favourable comments for the show last week. Thank you very much. And I've got to agree with the one comment that says we got faces for radio.
Obviously can't see mine.
Yeah. Well, there's a small mercy, I guess. Right, well, just looking at the clock, well, we've got some guests coming on the show again tonight. It's going to be a slightly Birmingham-centric show tonight. That's certainly not going to be the norm. We're going to look at all sorts of issues, and Wolverhampton and well, anywhere that you want us to talk about. If you want any guests on the show, there's any guests that you think, I'd like such and such to be on, just let us know and we will do our level best.
Oops.
Yes.
Oh, might as well kick it off. I accidentally did that. But, they're coming in already. Right, Alan Athens said, what's your thoughts on the National Supporters Group? Seems to be struggling as most clubs don't have supporters clubs. Really?
I think it's a good idea. The proof of the pudding will be in the eating. It's gone very quiet.
I don't think many clubs have got that many. I know Birmingham have obviously have got one. I don't know Cradley I think have got one as well. So, but there's not that many, to be honest.
My understanding is that it doesn't. That's a sort of a supporters club or somebody that is a supporter that's nominated
for representing each club.
To represent each club. So I presume that will happen. It has gone very quiet. I know that at Birmingham we have picked the person that, and I can't remember who it is. I'm sure Laurence.
It's not
Rogers
you.
It's not me. No, everybody will be very happy about that. So. Yeah, the proof of the pudding. It's going to be interesting to see what information is shared and what information is allowed to be shared and what we find out, because probably one of the biggest problems with Speedway, I think you'll agree, has been this perception of the boys' club and not getting information.
No openness.
Yeah, which I think seems to have been showing signs of improving lately. Would you agree?
I think so, yeah.
So... that's an interesting question, and it's going to be interesting to see how that.
Alan says that only eight clubs replied in all leagues.
That's disappointing.
That is disappointing.
That's not good, is it?
Yeah. I don't know what to say about that. But look, I guess the thing about it is that for those 8 clubs that have sort of replied and are joining in, then hopefully that will just be the beginning of something. As other clubs realise that. And other supporters realise that this is something worthwhile doing, hopefully, then that's what you've got to hope for. We've got some more stuff on the shout box here. Malcolm Brown says it's time that the MDL SDL Development League gets recognition as the first step in the tier of Speedway. The shop windows to the National League. Now Weymouth are at Poole and Reading are at Swindon. Yes. Can't disagree. Well, we will put that to Laurence Rogers later, because he's obviously very involved in that level of Speedway. So we will certainly put that to him. But I think it is acknowledged as that, isn't it?
It should be, really. Yeah. I mean, at the moment we're in a good position, aren't we? Because we've got some very good young riders coming through. Probably the best staff to Poland, I would say, at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting, actually. We will talk to Laurence Rogers about that, actually, about some of the riders that are coming through.
Yeah.
Ask him how to spell his name as well.
Yes, how do you spell your name, Laurence?
I think we do.
Brendan Powell said, "Hi, I think I put the Kiss of Death on Torcell last week, guys." Well, we know whose fault it is. Are you happy with the signing of Scott Nichols?
Well, it is sort of ironic that it's comes 20 years after we tried to sign him the last time.
Yes.
I think it was a sort of an obvious signing, really. It weakens Wolves. I mean, obviously last week I mentioned that I think Wolves have got a strong chance of winning the league this season. I'm not so sure Scott Nichols will do quite as well as Jakob Torcell did, because I don't think Scott Nichols is a top flight heat leader anymore. He's done well at Monmouth in the past, although not done quite so well in recent years. But you know what you're going to get from Scott. You're going to get 100% effort, and I'm sure he'll be good in the pits as well. So,
well, I guess from the options that were out there, it was probably.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, it's a big opportunity for him, because he's going to want to ride so well that when Jakob's back fit, that CVS and Peter Adams have got a choice to make. Of course, it may well be with the averages that we can't fit Jakob back in when he's fit anyway. So, which is really unfortunately a fault of the system, in that Jakob Torcell could end up out of a job through no fault of his own, really.
Yes. But, well, I think he's the sort of rider that somebody will want to sign him.
He's on a good average as well. I mean, he had a disappointing season last season, but I think there was a bigger expectation on him, and as well coming back from quite a serious injury that he had at the end of the previous season. So get well soon, Jakob, and hopefully Scott Nichols will be able to do a good job keeping the seat warm for him or for the rest of the season. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he certainly.
By all accounts, I mean, you've said he looked very impressive on.
He looked sharp, at the Ben Fund.
Yeah.
Wasn't against how can I put it? He wasn't against genuine Premier League number ones, I guess, I suppose.
Yeah.
Nick Morris was very disappointing.
Was it too cold for him?
Well, it was too cold for me, I can tell you that much. It was very
You're getting
cold.
on a bit now, don't you? So,
Yeah, thank you for that.
start to feel the cold when you get to your age.
Yeah, you also start to feel the cold when you're stupid and don't wrap up warm enough. But, yeah, there you go. We're going to talk probably next week. We'll probably look at predictions for the leagues. But we just got Alan Atherton's disappeared.
He's there. He says, do you agree with Paul being favourites for the league?
You can never write Paul off, can you?
Not so sure about Poole, to be honest. Not so sure.
You broke it.
I'm not so sure. Who says
Cavatti, Brady Kurtz, Jack Holder, Nikolai Busk-Jakobsen, Josh Grajnik, Richie Worrell, Nikolai Clint. It's a solid team.
However, you just sort of do know that probably won't be the team that finishes
Well,
the...
it depends on how much room they've got to manoeuvre, to be honest.
I think Nico Cavatti is a big a make or break rider in that team. If he has the sort of season that he was starting to have towards the end of last year, then that could be very good for Paul.
Yeah, that's right. So, but yeah, I mean, I think that's a solid team. Whether it's we'll probably all changed our minds within the space of 4 weeks of seeing everybody. But
and they'll have probably changed the team.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we will look at our predictions, getting them totally wrong.
Yes, like we normally do. So,
incidentally, did anybody pick Workington last year?
No, I don't think they did. So,
anybody pick Workington?
I certainly didn't. I know that.
Kingsley, 14-1 favourites. Bookies favourites, says Alan. And Vicky says, yeah, Paul will romp it, believe me.
We shall see.
They're not
talking of predictions, while we're talking of predictions, what I would love our listeners out there to do, and we're going to write these down, by the way, and come back to them at the end of the year so we can all have a laugh. We would like to know, for your particular club, who do you reckon is going to finish at the top of your averages at the end of the year? That's from the current riders so obviously if you sign new riders, but from the current riders in your club at the moment, who is going to finish top of the averages for your club, and who do you reckon is going to be the most improved rider at your club? Shove those on the shout box or on Facebook, and
we've got to give our own as well, just out of
we can do. Yeah, so you're ready to write this down?
Yep, I'm ready.
So I'm going to go for top of the averages, Zach Vitanek.
Not Ulrich Ostegard.
I think I've just got this feeling that Zach Vitanek's going to have
He has come on well, hasn't he, the last couple of years, to be fair. So
I've got a feeling. And most improved rider, probably James Shanes.
Yes, I'll probably go.
I've got to say that because he's coming on in 5 minutes. No, but I think, so Wolverhampton.
Top, I think, will be Sam Masters.
Okay.
Just ahead of Nick Morris.
He'll be well ahead of Nick Morris if Nick Morris rides like he did.
He probably will be. Sam Masters rode well, didn't he? And who was the most improved rider? Did you say, or
most improved rider?
Most improved rider. Ooh, I'll say Luke Becker. I'm looking forward to seeing. I've not seen Luke Becker ride before, but I'm really looking forward to seeing.
It was your first choice.
Sam Masters. Yeah. I think Sam's going to have a good season this year.
Yeah, so shove those up on the... and then we'll all have a laugh at them all at the end of the season.
Yep. We'll take the plaudits.
In a moment, Holly's going to disappear from her little corner up there.
I'm going to write down a few of these because a few people have joined in.
And going to get in touch with James Shanes for us. While we're waiting, we'll have a chat about... Have you heard about what Jason Doyle's been talking about?
You've mentioned something to me, but I haven't looked at it in depth.
He's talking about his weight.
Right.
He's saying he's trying to find the right weight that's light enough but isn't going to cause him health problems. He reckons he's been on planes and throwing up, and that it seems to be, particularly for those top riders, the GP riders, it seems to be a thing that they're trying to make, almost like jockeys now, to get this power to weight ratio down. What are our thoughts about that?
I've seen sportsmen have done this before, haven't they? I think it can be sometimes a bit of a dicey game to play, I think, because if you're sort of taking risks with your health or anything like that, obviously it would be an advantage, obviously, for riders to be lighter. Bart Smolslik's very quick. I think that's more down to the fact that he's quite small, to be honest. So
Yeah.
that benefits him.
So I wonder whether there's a case to be had for saying that Speedway bike. So they do this in Formula One, don't they? Speedway bike and plus rider should be a minimum weight.
Yeah.
And so if the rider's too light, they've got to add ballast to the bike. Whether that would, as long as that's a sensible limit, not a limit where people are saying, right, I've got to get down to that, and that's not.
Yeah, I remember reading in Ivan Major's autobiography that he did something very similar that in, I think it was about 1975, and in his autobiography he said in the end he overdid it and he really struggled in the world final that year. So,
right, because you lose strength and body tone,
so
muscle tone, don't you?
So it can be a bit of a dicey game to play, and you've got to be absolutely certain that you got it right. So. But Jason Dawes, an ex-world champion. I'm sure he'll have proper people helping him and advising him.
Yeah. I mean, it has to be said that's one of the many reasons why I'm not a speedway rider, because I couldn't be bothered with that sort of rubbish. So we will talk a little bit about the Ben Fund again. But I've got to be honest, the rider I was most impressed with on Sunday was Josh Bates. Because he was going past riders at Leicester.
At Leicester, yes.
It took some effort for him, but that's what he was doing. We will have a chat about that. But hopefully,
remember, you might have to fiddle about with the
I'm fiddling about again.
I don't know if I've got it right.
Hopefully, we have the skip James Shane's on the phone. Are you there, James?
Yes, I am. I'm here.
Brilliant. I can hear you, which is always a bonus.
Good start.
So I just called you Skip. Have you got used to that yet?
No, God no. Such a weird feeling. It's quite an honour, to be honest with you. I'm probably the least experienced rider in the team, and I think I'm like the youngest or one of the youngest. So to be named captain is a great honour, and obviously Mr. Mason and Laurence see something in me. I'm not quite sure what they see, but obviously see something there.
Well, I think we all see something in you. I mean, if you look at some of the press comments that Alan Rossiter's made about you, as well as David Mason, very complimentary in the press. I imagine that's nice to hear, but is it also a little bit of extra pressure?
Not really. No, I always, I like to be the nice guy. I don't want to carry too many enemies on the back of me, so I always try to be nice to everyone, and to know that everyone seems to have faith in me for the year is quite reassuring after sort of the struggles of last year and sort of just a tough year in lots of different ways for me last year. So I'm looking forward to the challenge this year is going to bring, and to know that both teams have got a lot of faith in me and willing to sort of stand by me even through the tough times is great to know. So it's actually taken a lot of pressure off me for the year. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Brilliant. I mean, that's all nice to hear. You also signed on as a full asset.
Yeah.
For Birmingham.
Yeah.
Was that a difficult decision?
Not really. I've loved my time at Birmingham, and I loved Birmingham from going back back in the National League days when I was riding for Kent and things. It's always been a place I've enjoyed riding, and to be almost back with Laurence, where it all started back in when I rode for the Coventry Vikings back in the MDL days. It's nice to sort of do the full circle, and I feel quite at home there. It's a shame things at Paul didn't work out, but moving to Birmingham I don't think is a bad move for me at all.
So you mentioned earlier that possibly you think you're not one of the most experienced guys in the team, but maybe that's true in Speedway, but when you look through your sort of CV of the other things that you've done with grass track and lung track and so on, I mean, you've got quite a good big experience at quite high level in those areas, haven't you?
Yeah, I guess in that aspect, yeah, I've got quite a lot of experience at sort of GP level riding and things like that. So I'm used to sort of the high pressure environments and different aspects of that. But when it comes to sort of Speedway, it's still all very new to me. I'm still learning so much, but I guess it's sort of the role I play within the team is different. I'm I'm always the loud one in the pits. I'm always sort of trying to get everyone G'd up, and if there's anyone messing around, you can guarantee it's probably going to be me. I'm the one that's always having some fun, always making lots of noise. So I guess from that side of things, it's probably going to keep the team atmosphere quite good and quite positive all the time.
And talking about team atmosphere and the other riders, have you had a chance to talk with the other riders? Do you all know each other?
I know Carl very well. He lives at the top of the road, so I know him quite well. And me and Zach have ridden back in the youth grass track together, and we were in Team GB in last year for the Team Long Track. So I know them two quite well. I know Paco quite well. He lives down. Well, I think he'd be living down the road from my fiance. So I know him quite well. The other riders, I don't really know a lot of. I've sort of spoken to them in passing, but press day will be sort of a good time to sort of gel as a team and sort of start that process off. And I'm looking forward to getting to know the group. The group chat's always quite interesting. Wake up in the morning to hundreds of messages of that's a rubbish some days, but yeah.
I had heard that the group chat was red hot, shall we say?
Yeah, well, we've got a 5K challenge going at the minute. Start of the winter, David put out a challenge that his son did 5K in, I can't remember what time, like 28 minutes, 29 minutes, something like that. Yeah. So we've all been sort of trying to beat the challenge and had a bit of fun with that. So it's definitely interesting.
Has anybody actually beaten it?
We're getting there. We're getting close. I struggle quite a lot. I'm on the shortest one, so
we're probably going to have
the hardest challenge to go.
It sounds like we're probably going to have the fittest team in the league at that.
Possibly,
point.
It's a bit of fun. Getting the competition sort of started early.
Yeah. Good stuff. So have you set any sort of? So obviously you're riding at Swindon as well in the Premiership. Have you set any sort of goals for where you want to be at the end of the year? And also outside of Speedway as well, of course. I
would love to get out reserve at Birmingham. Obviously, I finished the year at Sheffield at number 2, and I've had a points reduction, which has put me back into reserve berth. So I'd love to sort of get out of reserve and with Birmingham and sort of hold my own and sort of prove myself as a main body rider. And with Swindon, I want to improve my average. I didn't get a good chance at it last year. I'm a lot fitter than I was last year. I'm in a better headspace and everything. So, I want to try and prove that I should be in that league and, prove a few people wrong. And on the grass track and long track and stuff, I would love to retain my titles again. It was a hard year this year I just had bad luck in big meetings all year. So hopefully I can pull them back out really.
Just looking at the Swindon team, James, it looks a fairly solid lineup on paper. Of course, with all the work that's going on the Swindon track, you're going to lose a little bit of a home track advantage in the early weeks of the season, at least. But I think Swindon, you've got a fancy chances of doing well this season in the Premiership.
Yeah, I really do. We've got me and Zach at reserve, quite a strong reserve pairing. Hopefully, we can gel. Possibly being at Birmingham together and at Swindon, hopefully we'll gel quite well. And have Doyley and sort of Troy Batcher and the likes in the team. It's a very strong, very, very strong team, and I think the atmosphere will be great. I know I've had a little bit to do with Jason, with pole tech and training with him a few times, and I've had passes with all the others, so hopefully it'll gel quite well, and it seems like a team of racers. It should put a good show on as well.
And where do you think? So how do you think that the Birmingham team shapes up?
I think we can definitely be an upset. We haven't got a massive out and out number one, but we're a very, very solid team. Looking at our reserve pairing at the start of the year, and any of the pairing that will be at reserve is going to be very, very strong. And we might not go out and get 5-1 every race, but 4-2s and the 3-alls and stuff, which sort of wins you the meetings. I think we can pack in, and I'm going to say we might be an upset, and I hope we are.
I think I totally agree with everything you said there, and I would imagine. I mean, there's been quite a few predictions doing the different forums and so on, and they've not been greatly complimentary, shall we say, about the Birmingham team. I would say that's good motivation, though.
Yeah, I stay clear of the forums quite a lot. I don't like reading some of the stuff that goes on there, but it is that little bit of fire in the belly when you know you're kind of the underdogs. And I've been the underdogs in several meetings, and it's a great feeling when you go and cause a massive upset.
Yeah,
it's a real good feeling. So hopefully, we can cause an upset there, and I fancy our chances. We've all got room to improve, and I think we all will improve.
Well, if everybody improves, you win matches, don't you? It's as simple as that. So I'm going to ask you a bit of an unfair question now. But we've been asking everybody this question on the show tonight, so I don't see why we shouldn't ask you as well. I've got a feeling I know what you're going to say for at least one of these. So the question we've been asking is, who do you think, and you can do it for Swindon and for Birmingham as well, who do you think is going to finish at number 1 by the end of the season, and who do you reckon is going to be the most improved rider?
Oh, God. That's a tough question, that.
We won't hold you to it.
I'd like to say I'll be number 1 in both, but, it's going to be quite difficult. I think Birmingham's going to be hard to try and say who's going to be number 1. I think it's going to be we're going to be changing and swapping positions quite a lot because we're all quite close in the averages. So I think that's a very tough one to call. With Swindon, you've got to say Dawley's going to be number 1. He is, a very talented rider and world class. So, I'd love to say that I would knock him off number 1, but I think that might be a little bit soon this year.
You say it, but we will remind you of it at the end of the season.
I would love to, but I think this year might be a little bit early. But that is the main goal, is to be number 1 in the league. So definitely something to shoot for, isn't it? Well,
just so that I'm not chickening out, my predictions was that I think for Birmingham anyway, Zach Vitanek could well end up at number 1, and I had you down as the most improved rider. So there you go, and not just because you're on the show either. So.
It is.
I'll hold you that one in the dear.
Yeah, okay. Don't worry, these guys ain't going to let me off with that. So they're writing it all down as we speak. Just one last question. So obviously at Swindon, you're going to be riding with Jason Doyle, tons of experience, an ex-Birmingham number 1, by the way. I imagine that's going to be a situation for you to sort of keep asking questions and learn and so on.
Yeah, massively. I'm going to take every opportunity I can to learn off him. Like I said, I trained with him with Poltec a few times, and he's such an inspiration. His mental fitness and his physically fitness is absolutely amazing. So he's definitely an idol of mine, and now to be sort of racing in the same team with him, I'm going to take every chance I can to sort of get the pointers and the help I can get off him to hopefully sort of become number 1 and become a world class rider. Well,
thanks very much for joining us today, James. All the best in both leagues. Obviously, I want you to do really, really well for Birmingham. But you take care, and I shall probably see you at press and practice.
Yeah, and that's fine. Thank you for having me, and I will definitely see you at press and practice, and I'll be the one making lots of noise. Remember that one.
Okay, yes, I will. You take care. Thank you again.
Thanks.
And you guys. See you soon.
Cheers. Bye. I think he seems to have his head the right way on.
Very level-headed. So, I think James is.
And he's also very much a crowd pleaser, isn't he? The way he reacts to 5-1s.
Well, he's a rider that likes to entertain, isn't he? I think he's always said that. He said that when he first signed for Birmingham as well. So,
and he always does that. And he's a cracking style.
Yeah, he's a great rider to watch. I mean, he really did shine for Birmingham in what was at times quite a difficult season at Perry Bar.
Injuries wise, it was.
Yeah, that's right. So there's obviously going to be a different expectation on him this season, because last season he was a heat leader, whereas this season, of course, he's at least going to be starting the season at reserve. But I've got an inkling that he won't be the reserve all season. Would not be surprised, man.
I think you're right. I think there's a very obvious choice that's going to end up at reserve, and certainly initially, because experience. It's going to take a bit of time, but we will actually have a run through of the Birmingham team with Laurence Rogers in a moment or two. So let's talk a little. We spoke a little bit about Scott Nicholls, and last week you was talking to me saying that you felt that was a very good team at Wolverhampton this year, and are you feeling still the same now, or is that a bit of a?
I think it's slightly weaker just because I don't think Scott Nicholls is going to be able to deliver the same scorelines on a consistent basis that Jakob
I think
Torsell would have done.
Consistency, isn't it? Is
I mean, Jakob Torsell's obviously has come on leaps and bounds in the last couple of years. As I say, didn't have the best season last season, but I think with the setup of the team this year, he would have been in for a. I mean, listen, he might well still come in and do well when he gets back to full fitness. But I think in the interim period, Scott Nicholls was sort of really the obvious option to come in and replace him in the short term basis. He's always had a good relationship with the Wolves promotion. So say we tried to sign him 20 years ago,
yes.
so it's
didn't happen.
Yeah, and we signed Nicky Pedersen instead. So it would have been, and he only did 2 years with the club before he left. So
it's quite a shame we're not seeing Nicky Pedersen in the GPs this year. From the point of view of he creates.
I'd love to have seen. Once it was obvious that Nicky wasn't going to be in the GPs. I'd have loved to have seen him back racing in the UK again. Because I think he's just got that sort of box office factor, isn't he?
He has, yeah. But I think
whether people love him or hate him, and I think there's a lot of people in both camps, to be fair. But it would have been nice to have seen Nicky have one last swan song in the top flight, but not to be.
No. Well, you never know. You never know what might happen in the future. Let's go back to the Ben Fund, and before I do that, actually, we should mention that Ben Barker has a testimonial on Sunday. Unusual for a testimonial, which is normally a sort of individual meeting. They've got a 14 tournament.
That's right.
Which I think is a really good with some teams that. I mean, obviously Workington being one of them getting a chance.
Yeah, it's going to be good for Workington fans, isn't it? Because, unfortunately, as we know, they're not going to see as much Speedway this year. So, but I mean, we're looking at the teams there: Redcar, Ben Barker, Charles Wright, Tom Bacon, Jordan Stewart, Middlesbrough, of course, a great name from the past. Sam Masters, Michael Palmtoff, Nathan Greaves, David Wellinger, Workington, Steve Worrell, Bradley Wilson-Dean, Simon Lambert, and Kyle Bickley. And Newcastle, Thomas Jorgensen, Lewis Kerr, Ulrich Ostergaard, and the last one I don't think has been confirmed yet, but I'll check that out again. That was the last update I've got.
Fairly even looking teams.
Yeah, it's a fairly. Listen. At the end of the day, it's all about supporting Ben Barker on his big day and getting laps in before the competitive action starts in April. So. But it should be that's got the potential to be quite a decent meeting, I think. And we don't see that many 14 tournaments now, unfortunately. We used to get the 14 tournament championships in the top flight many years ago. So
well, I hope that he has a big turnout. I imagine there'll be a fair few Workington fans turn out, and we hope that Ulrich Ostergaard has a better meeting than he did at Leicester. But yeah. Good luck for Ben. Yep.
Sorry. Excuse me.
Was that mental or not? Or did
she's got something very unusual and new on sale at Perry Bar this season for both home and travelling supporters to enjoy. She's really excited about it.
Is she?
She's not going to tell us.
Who is she?
Wendy.
Oh, okay. There's something.
only one Wendy Barrett.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear the Wendy bit.
Yeah. Something new.
You little tease, Wendy. You little tease. Okay, well, we'll look forward to finding out about that. The Ben Fund. Actually, I think we'll talk about that afterwards. I think we can get Laurence on the line because we did say that's that sort of time. But while he's getting, we can talk a little bit about the Ben Fund. I was very, very impressed about how quickly they got through the heats, and they did something that I've never seen before. Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering whether this is a way to go, or whether it's just worked at Leicester because of the way their track's set up. So normally a race finishes and the rider will go around, wave to the crowd, do his wheel, his celebration, and then he'll go into the pits, and at that point is when the 2 minutes time allowance comes on and the other riders start coming out, yeah?
Yeah.
At Leicester, the riders started coming out while the rider was still doing his celebration.
Yeah, that'd be good. I mean,
So
they practically...
So that's very, very
They
quick.
practically do that in the GPs.
Right.
You know, they got the 4 riders there waiting on the track ready to be pushed off when the rider of the previous race is going around doing his lap of honour. Although, a lot of times in British Speedway, you don't see laps of honour now, do they? They just go straight back to the pits, which is a shame, really. But
That's possibly in the lower leagues.
Yeah.
We have been. That I think we possibly saw more celebrations
Yeah.
than I don't know. But anyway, we have hopefully got Laurence Rogers on the phone. Are you there, Laurence?
I am.
That's 2 out of 2.
Well done.
Wow, you're working well,
I'm on a
Webby.
roll.
Working well.
I'm on a roll.
How you doing, Laurence?
I'm fine, sir.
Yeah. Have you warmed up from Sunday?
Not yet, I don't think. I had the choice of being on the bottom car park looking after the sponsors to start with, so I was frozen for 3 hours.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was very, very cold, but a really good turnout, wasn't it?
Excellent.
Considering we had rain and wind and all these things happening.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a good turnout. We had a question earlier about the MDL, SDL, I don't know what it's called these days.
M and SDL.
M
yeah.
and SDL.
Yep.
That's not a mouthful at all.
it's not.
About whether it receives enough recognition as being the sort of the way into Speedway.
Possibly not. It is the starting point. It's the real development league where those who've come on from training schools and amateur meetings, it's their stepping stone to join into a team and have normal racing there, which makes them progress on then to the National League and upwards.
And obviously you're really heavily involved in the M and SDL. Have I got that right?
Blame Neil Thatcher for that, because it's the Midland and Southern Development League. And he and Jackie came up at the AGM with the M&S. And I said, I hope we don't get a problem from Marks and Spencer's, though.
Very good.
Unless they're sponsoring us.
Well, yes, there you are, Marks and Spencer's. Perfect opportunity. Come and sponsor us. So I was wondering if you could make some predictions for us of riders to watch this year from the MDL, that M and SDL. Get it right.
Get it right,
Well,
go on.
We've got Sheldon Davis back, and I'm amazed that Sheldon hasn't got a National League spot. Same with Aaron Butcher. We've got Tom Spencer coming as well, and Tom's got himself in at Cranley. So we've got some good lads there coming in from the Birmingham side. A lot of the new 2 Point boys are not actually going to be linked to any teams, but are available for teams to use in the rider pool get there. So there are a good group of those 15-year-olds around, and they will get some action, I'm sure, at this level. But there are, it is the stepping stone for them. It's a case of these are the new ones, Look at them. We've got 2 girls, of course, this year. We've got our own Rachel at Birmingham, and Francesca Kirtley-Payne is riding for Weymouth down at Poole. So 2 ladies in the league.
So that's going to be a nice meeting to see who's the best out of
The ladies, yeah.
the ladies.
Rachel. Oh, sorry, French. Jessica will kill me when she sees me.
Oh, we can have tickets for that then. Right, so to go back to Birmingham, brand new sort of adventure for Birmingham this year, moving up to the championship. Obviously, a brand new set of riders, and of which some we're familiar with and others we're not quite so familiar with. So what I thought I'd do is run through the team, and if you could sort of let us know what you think we can expect from these riders and any insights that you've got, really.
Yep.
Is that okay? Putting you on the spot?
That's fine. Just put me on the spot, I don't mind.
Good stuff. So we'll start off with Paco Castagna.
Yeah, very, very much underrated. He had a bit of a rough time last time he was here in the UK. A rider of great ability, and on the continent last year riding well. He rode in the Speedway Nations for Italy. So committed to the club, signed on as a Birmingham asset. I think one to watch this year.
Okay, which would be brilliant, because a lot of the predictions we had, which are based on what you said, he'd had a rough time earlier, perhaps not been so complimentary, but I imagine that's all good motivation.
Very much for motivation, and he's also a great showman. I'm looking forward to the first 5-1 with Shane. Who's going to have the biggest celebration?
Oh, okay. Well, we'll have to judge that, won't we? We will do that.
Good marks out of 10.
Yeah. Ashley Morris.
Ashley Morris, yes. Good move for him to be coming to a Midland club. He rode for Newcastle last year, drove all the way and back himself on a Sunday, and then had to get himself ready for Wolverhampton on Monday. A rider who's, I think, made good progress, and I think this year will really take off, especially being locally based.
I mean, I think he's had quite a few good meetings at Birmingham at National League.
Yeah, he's done well at
level.
Perry Bar in the past, hasn't he?
So it
He
is.
rode very well in the Peterborough meeting, didn't he?
Yes.
Had last year.
Yeah, he did. So, yeah. An old friend coming back, Kyle Newman.
Yes, of course. Yeah, Carl, one of my original boys down at Newport, back with me. Carl is 110% trier. He had a lot of problems last year he didn't realise with an arm injury.
Right.
He had a broken bone he was riding with, so no wonder he was struggling. So his average has dropped a little bit, which is good for us.
Yes.
We picked him up on a handy 5.83. Carl's worth a lot more than that, and also goes well around Perry Bar, of course.
Yeah, I mean, he knows the track pretty well. And when he first rode for us, of course, he was...
All those years ago.
Yeah, for too many years. Let's just not do that.
Yeah.
When he rode for us, those many years ago, he was virtually a brand new rider, but really, really, the crowd took to him. So
he's a trier.
Yeah,
he gives it all. Yep.
Exactly. Ulrich Ostergaard.
Oh, yes. Ulrich had a bit of a rough time on Sunday
yes.
at Leicester. If people have seen the pits, the problems we had machinery-wise, it's all brand new stuff he's got. He had a silencer which came adrift because the rubber broke. He had another one where the clutch had gone, and he also had the fuel pipe break in a race. It was all brand new stuff. He hadn't ridden, so no practice beforehand. So I said to him, just treat this as a practice today, which he got better as the meeting went on.
Yeah.
He's back to Denmark. He's actually practicing tonight in Denmark, then comes back for Ben Barker's testimony on Saturday.
Yeah. Sunday, I think it is, isn't it? Is it
No, Saturday.
Oh, is it Saturday?
Don't send them to Red Car Sunday. There won't be anything happening. It's
Okay,
Saturday
right,
at 3 o'clock.
Saturday. Where did I get Sunday? Not to worry. Obviously, again, Ulrich has ridden for the club before, so he knows the track quite well.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think
He had a few injuries last year, which knocked his in a little bit and his average a bit. But I'm sure he's going to bounce back because he's determined to.
In fact, Ulrich was the first rider to win a race at Perry Bar.
He was.
So
yes.
He was, yes. That was in the Alan Hunt meeting, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah. So, James Shanes, who we just spoke to, so he's listening, so be very careful.
Oh, what, the kipper?
The kipper, yeah.
No, James started with me. I went to a training school at Leicester, and there was this lad on a grass track bike looking good, and I thought, got chatting with John and James, and took him to Coventry, and that's where we came. He mentioned them riding MDL for the Coventry Vikings, and then for the Coventry Storm. And always struck me as being a rider who was going to go places.
Yeah.
And last year, when we had our injury problems, we snapped him up, and I think it was the turning point for him. It got him back on track, and he ended very well for us and for Sheffield.
I mean, I well remember the night that James was announced as our signing, and an audible gasp went round the stadium.
Well, the thing is,
and I think that
people don't realise. People don't realise that we had 4 days to do it in. Otherwise, average would have precluded him from riding the National League.
Yeah. Right, well, that's interesting. But I think that sort of audible gasp followed him for the rest of the season. It was with some of the riding that he pulled off last year.
Some of his racing was unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely.
But he's also in the pits as well, where he was a great influence helping Sheldon and Josh especially. And it's one of the reasons why David and I have gone for him as captain, because he's got the enthusiasm, he's got the bounce, and as he said, you will get things moving.
Yeah, he's quite. He said he'll be the noisiest one in the pits, is what he said.
He will
be.
Yeah.
Tobias, it's a name we don't really know much about.
I've spoken with Tobias for the last 2 years. He's trying to get into Britain. He did a couple of meetings at Berwick, Redcar, and then he wrote an Ulrich's testimonial, where he tried to go around the outside of Tom Perry, who was naturally on the fence.
Quite.
And Tom said, "Where the hell was he coming from?" But he's an all-action rider. Spoke with Ulrich about him, and Ulrich said he's fast, sometimes too fast. So he's going to have Ulrich helping him, but he's also going to be living with Bruce Cribb now. And Cribby is going to mentor him like he did with Bradley Wilson-Dean last year. And
Right.
You're not going to argue with Cribby, are you?
Well, I certainly wouldn't. No. Yeah,
But to
absolutely.
Tobias, it's a big move for him. Danes are very, very professional, always good equipment, and we hold him in high regard, and he's one for the future.
Fantastic, and also a Birmingham asset, of course.
A Birmingham asset as
So,
well.
which-
Once he's done his number of meetings to make him his stamp go on his contract.
And we'll finish off with Zach Vitanek.
Yeah, Zach. I've known Zach for a long time. I first met Zach when he came to Newport. We had I can't remember what a meeting was. It was 7 tracks and like that. He was there with his Joe Scream lookalike bike and everything else, and he was fast. Got chatted with him and Kevin's dad, and I've sort of kept in touch. And when Zach was at Birmingham, I spent a bit of time chatting with him as well. He's always a rider that I've wanted to have in my team, and finally got him.
Fantastic. Now I'm going to put you on the spot, the same as I put James Shanes on the spot. So, who do you think is going to be our number one by the end of the season, and who do you think will be the most improved rider? And we are writing this down, by the way.
Right, so if I say all 7 of them at number 1, they'll have the exact same average, 7 points.
Well, I think that's what's known as a cop-out, isn't it?
It is. To be honest, I wouldn't like to say, because I think that they, throughout the team, most of them have got the potential to get up to that spot. It could be Zach, it could be Ash, it could be Kyle, it could be Ulrich. Who knows? Paco might zoom through. But who was going to be number 1? Blimey. That is definitely one to put on the spot.
Well, you do know that the riders are going to...
Reminds him of this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think back to, I think it was 1969, Poole had a league-winning team where the top rider was 7.01 and the bottom rider was 6.5.
Right.
And I think that's the type of team we're going to have this year. And who's going to be number 1 of that lot?
Well, go on, go for it.
It could be Zach, it could be Ash, it could be Carl. So what do you think?
That's a politician's answer, that,
Yes,
isn't it,
yeah,
Laurence?
yeah. So,
Can you tell him
I'll say Zach then just.
okay, John, you picked the same. I said Zach and James as
And the
the...
most improved, blimey.
Yeah.
All 7 of them. as James said, all of them have got the ability to improve their averages. That's another reason why we've built the side like we have. Because there is a lot of element in there which could give us higher in the league. I know when the predictions come out at the Speedway Star, we're going to be down the bottom, which is great. Underestimate us, please.
Yes.
At your peril.
As they did Workington last year.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Workington, they didn't really have a number 1. Running back started at 1 and went down to 7 at one time.
Wow.
They were all moving. I think we'll have the same situation. And I think a solid side is the way forward. With all respect, there's some lovely kids coming through on the 2-pointers, I think of Somerset, where Henry Atkins, who started with me, is there, with Anders Rowan. I've known Anders for a long time. He was my mascot at Newport. These lads have got a lot of learning to do. Paco and James should eat them alive, I'm sorry, at reserve to start with.
Right, well, that's a prediction. Paco and James are going to eat them alive. We like that. We got a question, have we?
Yeah, he probably won't be able to hear me from here. But so, can you ask Laurence if Brun will be in Team Kevlars this season?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. Are we going to have Team Kevlars this year?
Well, if anyone would like to come forward with some money, yes.
Yeah.
Well, we had Team Kevlars last year, and as you saw, we ended up at the end of the season with probably we've got 1, maybe 2 sets left.
Yes.
It's a very expensive thing. I think, if a sponsor came forward and bought them, yes, we'd have them, but no, we're not having them at the moment. We're in the body colours with the lads having their own colours.
Okay.
If a sponsor wants to come forward, let me know.
Right, well, you heard it here first. If there's anybody who wants to sponsor Team Kevlars for Birmingham, we'll get you in touch with Laurence, no problem. Right, well, I had got another question and it's just totally disappeared out of my head.
It does that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Not
I
as
just
much in
mentioned Henry
there,
Atkins, and
usually.
I've just noticed his dad's just joined in listening. Hello, Michael.
Well, it's nice to know there's a few riders out there listening to us.
Oh, there are. Yeah.
Well, thank you anyway, Laurence, because I'm just looked at the time actually, so it's probably we've
Just as
probably
well,
kept
maybe.
you on for long enough.
No worries. Then.
Oh, of course, there is a very important question that I've got to ask you, which is about the first meeting. Have we got any more news about lineups and so on for the David Mason meeting?
Any day now.
Okay. He's not going to tell
There's
us.
a few eyes to
Somebody
dot and
tell us.
T's to cross, but it's going to be a cracking meet at Birmingham, Wolverhampton. Hopefully, all the Wolves fans will come along to see their team beaten by Championship side. Oh, sorry.
That's enough now, get it.
I'll get back going there.
Sounds good to me.
I should remind you of that, Laurence.
And I ought to say that there's been a lot of commitment shown by David Mason in this team this year, with the assets, which is something we've never really sort of acquired before, and you know the new pits as well for the MDL and SDL. I think, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep, very much
lads.
so. Well, put it this way, there's been a lot of money spent in various directions. Every time we've turned to do something, we've had to replace the changing room floors, the whole of the kickballs had to be condemned. You name it. Everything we've done has cost money this winter.
Right. Well, I'm sure it's all going to pay off. That's all I've got to say on the matter. And I just think it's nice to see that commitment in the future of the Speedway. So
Very much so.
that's fantastic. Right. Well, I guess I will see you at the press and practice, Laurence. And good luck. Have a great season, mate.
Thank you very much. Looking forward to it.
You take care.
Cheers, Laurence.
See you soon.
Cheers, boys.
Bye bye. Bye bye. Always good value.
Always good value,
always
yes.
Good value. Let me just pass that to you. Thank you very much. Hey. All right. Well, what did you think of his assessment of the team? What's your assessment of the team?
I think you look at the Birmingham team on paper. Is it the strongest team in the league? Probably not. There's not a huge expectation on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a team. It is a team built to a budget. Let's be fair about it, which is absolutely fine because I think there's a lot of clubs in both of the top two leagues that really don't really live within their means to a point, and I think that's important for Birmingham to be able to do that. There's a team with riders that are going to be very good to watch.
Yep.
I think you're going to see a lot of entertaining racing, especially at a track like Perry Bar where there's not really any home advantage.
No.
I think a lot of the clubs in the Championship have got riders who are going to ride Perry Bar very well. I'd say cautious optimism for Birmingham this season.
The thing I will say about the team is that you only need one rider to go bonkers, and all of a sudden we've got a really good team.
Well, that's right. So
And that does happen. So we got
Sorry,
another question?
it's an important one. So Duncan wants to know: can you confirm dates and times when you do these podcasts? As I only tune into Facebook every now and again, so when I enjoy the chat. So we do this live every Tuesday. Every Tuesday during the season. And then it goes
8 o'clock start.
Yeah, and tomorrow it'll be on podcast. It'll be on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts,
Uncle Tom
YouTube,
Cobley and all.
Podbeam, alive, oh,
Dear.
everywhere.
God. He started singing again.
There you go.
Oh dear, I don't feel ill now. Yeah, but I mean,
Sorry,
yeah,
And when is press and practice?
press and practice
next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday.
Yeah. Okay.
There
A
you
week
go.
tomorrow.
So-
Okay. Fantastic.
And then we have I'm really looking forward to this season because it's a whole new league and it's changed.
Yeah, I think it was important for Birmingham to make the step up.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't really much more that the Brummies could do in the National League, to be honest. They achieved so much success in that league, done really well, some very good riders. Of course, the 2016 team is always going to be fondly remembered at Birmingham, but I think it was the right time to make the move up, and I think it's exciting times now for the Brummies.
Fingers crossed.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we should look ahead now. We'll try and do this at the end of each show. There's not many meetings happening over this week, but we have Leicester versus Ipswich.
Challenge meeting, of course.
Yeah, which is obviously an interleague challenge meeting.
Yeah.
I thought thought, looking at the riders at Leicester that were in the Ben Fund, I think they could have a good season this year, Leicester.
Yeah, they need to have a good season. They've struggled badly in the. Yeah. I mean, you look at it last season. They spent quite a lot of money on building that team last season, and going into the start of it, there was a big optimism that they were going to be one of the favourites, and they ended up finishing bottom. So
yes,
they really needed important.
I think we picked them as one of the favourites. Didn't we?
Yeah, I thought they'd have a great season. To be honest, they never really recovered from the injuries that they had at the start of the season to Martin Vasilek. So.
Dave Twine wants to know, GA, did you mention last week, did a captain ever ride at reserve?
Yes, you did.
I did mention it, and we
still don't know.
Don't think nobody's come back to us with anything, so okay. I'm presuming that this could be a first. So.
And Duncan said he's going to make it a date.
Well done, Duncan. Well done.
Thought on Stoke Potter's team?
Good side. I think they'll do better this year.
It does look a decent tide, actually. It's not the pensioners' side, does it very often is it? So, I mean, again, we'll have a look at a loss of this next week. Also on the 23rd, of course, the Ben Barker testimonial that we mentioned.
Yes, that's right.
Up at Redcar. And on the 24th,
the Steel City
Championship, which we should also mention Ricky Ashworth is going to do 4 laps. He'll be knackered.
Great for Ricky, though. I think everyone's got so much respect for what he's
achieved. One from Ryan Guest, and one from Steve Hone. Simon Lampert rode at reserve and captained Peterborough last season. Could be wrong.
Okay,
then Steve come back with Simon Lambert reserve and cap.
So Lambo did.
There's a few coming in now.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Frank Smith at Stoke in the 80s was at reserve and skipper.
Well, why didn't anybody do this last
Mark Scarfield, I think, did it as well at Bellevue back in the early 90s. So,
right. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not unique. Shocks.
No.
Oh, another one. Robbie McGregor, Australian, the Glasgow Tigers, 1980.
Wow, there's some brilliant memories out there.
I know, yeah.
I think he's googled it.
Yeah. Digging all the old Speedway yearbooks out of it.
Yes.
I rode at reserve for one match before being banned for being too young to race.
Oh, yes, I remember that.
Age.
I remember that. Wow. Only in Speedway, as they say. Only in Speedway. Reminds me of Neil Evitts, who came riding from Birmingham at 15 and said no. They suddenly realised that he was 15 and he wasn't allowed to ride for us.
Ray Wilson was non-riding captain in the World Cup team.
Non-riding captain, is that better?
Yeah.
Well, you have non-playing captains in the Ryder Cup, don't you? So, but non-riding captain in Speedway is not really very common, is it? So,
no, I've never heard that.
Usually, when the captain's injured or something, and he's still in the pits, with the rest of the team. So,
good stuff. So, we was talking about Ricky Ashworth at Sheffield on the 24th. Going to do 4 laps on his tandem.
Yeah.
He just deserves every
absolutely,
accolade that can be given him. So, going back, of course, to the place that nearly killed him.
So it'll be an emotional moment, I think. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Good luck to you, Ricky. Well, I can hear the music going. Okay. So I guess it must be time.
That's another way of saying go away.
Yes. Well, thank you everybody once again, and I hope you've all shared your streams. And I meant to mention at the beginning of the show, I'm always doing this every week. If there's anybody out there that wants to sponsor the Speedway Tavern, you've probably noticed that we've upped things up with our technology this week, and Webby's been messing about with his knobs again. All this stuff costs us money. We don't get any revenue from anything, but it would be lovely if somebody out there thinks we were worthwhile sponsoring. Thank you very much. Take care.